It's back. Right, so, as you can see, car's finally back in the garage. You've probably guessed from the fact there's been no update for 3 weeks. It hasn't exactly gone to plan. We left my E30, well, M52 loom on there, and basically plugged everything into the M50, plugged the Mega Square ECU in, and it all went up in smoke. We then swapped everything over to run the 36 loom, bought an adapter, did everything like that, plugged the Mega Square ECU in, no fuel, no injection. So we think it's burnt a resistor out, or something in the ECU. I've sent that off to Guy Higgs, he's going to have a look at it. If he can't work it out, he's going to send it to someone else. We've now got it running on a standard M50 ECU, so it's taken us a long time, but the car is now running. And then I'm going to send it over to Garage 11, same as George did, and get my exhaust done. Hopefully by that point we will have had the ECU back. Fingers crossed it'll be okay. If it's not, I'm going to have to buy another ECU. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. That's where we're at the moment. So, get it all together and off to Garage 11. Then hopefully we can get it mapped not long after that. And yeah, I think, to be honest, the big day I'd really like to go to is Matsuri. So if we can get tickets for Matsuri and I can get this to Matsuri, I'll be mega stoked. Anyway, that's basically where we're at, so I should probably go on and do something. Right team, so I need some assistance. So to get the rad in, because it's bigger, I've had to chop some bits out here and here, so it now fits. But before, my old rad, literally, they've cut all the front out, and that just went across, and it was literally zip tied to this floppy bit of bar. You have the brackets that clip onto here, and then they just clip straight into the top of the rad to actually hold it properly, and then I can just work something out along the bottom to just hold that, so it's in there properly. I was thinking, if I get this out of the white car, and then essentially chop it like here and here, and across there, well, could I? Could I? Well, that, just between these 2 points here, just from there to there, and then maybe just tack it down here as well, so that's like in there, and then we can clip the radiator in properly, rather than it just hanging off of this flat bit of metal with some zip ties. And then it would be properly mounted, and then we can work out how to get intercooler in front, oil cooler, all other bits. Progress was going really well. I had the rad in, all mounted across the top where I'd made all that stuff, moved everything forward, dropped the engine down, managed to make everything work. I was like, yeah, perfect. Made some brackets up for the bottom of the radiator, had that supported, got the fan in, had everything supported. I was like, oh, this is going so well, all sorted. Then just needed to drop the intercooler in. I was like, I don't have a welder today. I'm just gonna crack on, like, get the cool works in, get the gear linkage back up so I can put the prop on. Jacked it up off the front, where I've jacked it a million times with a bit of wood, and didn't think about the fact that I've just cut some of the support out the back of it, and literally, like, I've pushed this down, I'll insert a clip now of how it was, literally just folded this entire bit all the way up. Yeah, which is obviously exactly what was holding the radiator on. It ripped all the bolts out the bottom of the radiator. Yeah, so just taking that back off, and yeah, it was going really well, and now it's all gone terribly. Tom just arrived and we were having a chat. This jacking bar is off the back of an E36 compact. It's obviously never been on anything. We said maybe we could work something out for that. and I've literally just picked it up, and surprisingly, from that flat edge to that flat edge, we are almost exactly the width between the chassis legs. So I'm hoping I can cut that out, just straight across, leave that in there to support the uprights, and then just chop the whole bottom out, and maybe we'll cut this jacking bar and weld that in there. Yeah. Right, so problem overcome. I mean, as you've just seen, basically cut down a jacking bar for the rear of an E36 compact, and it almost fits perfectly within the two chassis legs. So I've cut obviously all the other bits off of it, but the flat plate sits almost perfectly. I've stuck 2 self-tappers in there, like literally just to hold it in there for the moment, and then when we get a welder up there, we'll weld all of that in. Really, it's going to work a lot better. It's going to be a lot more substantial, and then we'll just have to attach something to the bottom of there to pick up the bottom of the radiator to support that. Main issue we have now is that because the fan's not sitting flush against the radiator, it's sitting against the bash bar. Now I'm not going to have enough space to get the intercooler in. So, yeah, always one thing after another. I think I'm going to have to go for a set of twin fans that will sit above the bash bar, just flush on the radiator, and then we should be able to get that in there. Anyway, it's been a long day. For anyone who goes, you cut all the support out of it, of course it was going to collapse. Yeah, no, you are right. Physics does dictate that is right. It was a long day. I wasn't thinking about it. One of those things. Very frustrating. But we've got over it. Really with a better solution than what was there before. So, not ideal, but it's definitely going to be beneficial in the future. Right, so now I think I'm going to go to the pub. I pretty much started at like 2 o'clock yesterday, and then have been flat out since, and it's that car thing. Haven't really got much done. I was hoping to have a lot more done. Guess who just filmed an entire 5-minute update aiming directly at the light and you couldn't see anything? This guy. Anyway, we're back. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday night. It's currently 10 o'clock. Last night I was going till about 1. I keep getting really carried away. But progress is going well. I mean, every time I look at the list, I'm like, no, I still slightly want to kill myself because there is so much to do. But the fact that it's back here and I'm getting on with stuff just makes me so happy that I'm actually making progress. So, where we're up to so far. As you probably saw, clips from really late last night, I was ripping all the BC coilovers off the blue car. I've taken them all off, swapped them all over. Naturally, like, that's a 5-minute job. No, top mounts are different, nothing fits. Everything's seized, everything's rounding, you can't get it off. Cars, the joys. But anyway, my car is now fully sat on BC coilovers all round. Mint. I needed to do that first because I needed to do E46 brakes up front. So up front, we've now got E46 330 DI, whatever, big boys, up front, and braided lines. I've taken the groove discs off of the blue car as well, so got pretty good setup up there. It's going to be doing endos. We're good up the front. Braided lines are on. The only issue I've had is that one of the copper lines wouldn't come off. It rounded off and it snapped. So I need to rerun that line. I also need to take the lines out of the old hydro because that was just teed into the system and just obviously join that back together in simple forms. New hydro's in. Cooler works is in. Oh my god. Cooler works is just... I'm going to start trying to run the hydro lines through the car. I've got the Chase Bays kit, which is braided lines the whole way through, which is sick. Calipers arrived, I just didn't have carriers. Yeah, natural mistake, that one. Luckily, I called Tom, and he was just like, yeah, of course I've got carriers on calipers. So yeah, absolute legend. Massive shout out to Tom, because none of this would have been possible without him. The fact that he's let me, I bought it off him, but the fact that he's just let me rip his blue car up, take the heart out of it, take all the nice stuff out of it. Absolute legend. And any time I call him and go, I need this, I need that, like, he's always there, he's always helping me. He got up at like 4 AM the other day before work to drop me a bottle of gas so I could use one of his welders to start welding bits into my car. So, yeah, just generally absolute legend. Very lucky to have him. Yeah. Right, so that is everything hydro related. Tightened up, bolted in, test fitted. The only thing we're missing is obviously rear pads for the new calipers. They are on the way. Once they're there, we can then bleed everything up and do it. So, next, as you can see up here, there is some copper lines hanging out from the old hydro. I need to obviously get rid of that, and there's a join on this seal down here. So I got to loosen that off, make a new line, and just run it all the way to the front. I also then need to make a new line for the front right corner because that was seized and it didn't come apart. So I need to do that. I've never made brake lines before. I think it's like self-explanatory, maybe. But we're gonna have a go. Ash has lent me his tool. That's probably blinding the camera. It's blinding me. And it seems relatively self-explanatory. I need a 10mm, should be that one there. And then I need a 17mm spanner. So from what I can tell, I need to back that off. Gently wind a bit of brake line up. So you put that bolt in, which is the position bar. Union on. Let's put union on there first. Slide that all the way up to the bolt. And then tighten these up. God, I am so ADHD. What have I just done with that? Literally had it in my... I'm sat on it. Fatty. So I think I put that in first and then that. Maybe. That's alright. Straight the other way. Yeah, we are all flared. Unreal. Right, so that's that end, and I'm going to go ahead and disconnect and reconnect and do that, and then try and run a line through. Let's go. Right, so that is a load of brake lines done. All the old stuff is back to the big pile, and yeah, as you saw, I've got one under there. Off of here, I'm running a new line all the way through, up into the front. Whereas before, it obviously teed out from here and from the front into the hydro. So that's all back together. And then there was one on the other side. That line on the other side had to be replaced because that had seized. So, next on the list, I need to do battery relocation. Obviously, there's not a lot of space in the front and it's going to get hot in there. So, we are going to move this lovely red top battery into the boot. I want to do that next because if I can get battery relocated, and then I just need to change out the fuel pump for the one in the E36. It's got a much more powerful one in there. Obviously a hydro line's running through here, but if I can get the battery line running through and get that changed, I can put all the back end, well, of the car together. So then most of the interior will be back together, and I just need to then look at obviously putting that plate back in, and then all my gauges and bits and bobs in there. But yeah, inside it is coming together. Halfords did not have any battery cables that were long enough. In fact, no one did. Euros didn't, no one did. But what they did have was jump leads. So yeah, you know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to chop the ends off the jump leads and use those cables to run straight through.